The Roman Catholic Church teaches that you don't want to go to Jesus if you need something. You want to go to Mary to ask Jesus. The whole idea that you go to Mary to plead with Jesus because Jesus can't resist Mary comes from this passage. Can you believe that? Oh, by the way, never mind that she was rebuked by him for asking. This is the only time in the New Testament that Mary ever made any request to Jesus. And he responded by saying, none of your business. But this is where the Catholic Church finds the fountain of its Mariolatry, going to Mary to get things from Jesus. Verse 4, after Mary says to him, they have no wine, Jesus said to her, woman, woman, not mother? It's not harsh to say woman. Some say it's kind of the southern expression, ma'am. It's not harsh, but it's not intimate. It's not mother. It's courteous. By the way, it's the same word that he used on the cross in John 19 when he said to her, woman, behold your son, and handed her over to John. He called her woman there as well. Why? Because he is telling her, we don't any longer have the relationship we've had up to now. It's over. She is no longer in a position to act as an authority in his life. She is no longer in a position to tell him what to do, to make suggestions to him. This would be a big change because I'm pretty confident that everything she ever asked of him, everything she ever desired of him, he gave out of his love. But she could no longer demand anything from him. She played no role in his ministry. Listen to this carefully. When he was 12 years old, he gave her a preview of this moment. And he was in the temple talking to the officials, and he said, I must be about my Father's business. And this day, his father's business started and his mother's business ended. From here on, he was saying, I don't do your business. I do my Father's business. I'm done with my mother's business. Fully engaged in my Father's business. Can I even extend that? He never asked for suggestions from anybody. From anybody. In fact, when people gave him suggestions, he normally rebuked them, such as, get behind me, Satan. Here, his rebuke is a little milder. He says, what does that have to do with us? What does that have to do with us? This is so critically important. The years of compliance, the years of submission, the years of obedience are over. He is finished with his mother's business, and he is now doing his Father's business. He says from here on, as we'll see in John, I only do what the Father tells me to do. I only do what the Father wills that I do. I only do what I see the Father do. It is the Father who gives me his word, and it is what the Father speaks that I do. He is distancing himself from that mother-son relation which had existed for 30 years. To call her mother would have kept that relationship kind of intact. Woman shows that she is now dealing not with her son, but with the Son of God. What does that have to do with us? What an amazing statement. By the way, that statement is made a couple of times in the Old Testament. It's made in Matthew 8 and Mark 1 and Mark 5. It's a very familiar expression. It's a Semitic kind of expression. Literally, it is this, what to me and to you? What is it that concerns you and me together? Nothing. What do we have in common? Nothing. It is a separating statement. I am completely free from you as to your desires, your wishes, your advice. He sealed this in Matthew 12 You remember the story, no doubt, in verse 46. He was speaking to the crowds, and his mother and brothers were standing outside, and they wanted to talk to him, Mary and his half-brothers. Someone said to him, "Behold, your mother and your brothers are outside, standing out there, seeking to speak to you." Jesus answered the one who was telling him and said, "Who is my mother? Who are my brothers?" Stretching out his hand toward his disciples, he said, "Behold, my mother and my brothers. For whoever does the will of my Father who is in heaven, he is my brother and my sister and my mother. The only relationship I have is with people who do my Father's will. Other human relationships cease." That's what he's saying. What do we have in common? You have no role to play in my life. All family connections are over. All family relationships are over. This is the opposite of what the Roman Catholic Church has said, that Mary has any function, any role at all in his life. He clearly dismisses that idea. Luke 11:27, Jesus was speaking, and one of the women in the crowd raised her voice and said to him, "Blessed is the womb that bore you and the breasts at which you nursed." He said, "On the contrary, blessed are those who hear the word of God and obey it." He completely distances himself from Mary. He has assumed a higher position and she has no role to play.